Welcome back. Now, with the current administration riding a wave of disapproval about its handling of both the Black Lives Matter movement and also the global pandemic, the Democrats' presidential nominee, Joe Biden, has taken a significant lead over Donald Trump in the latest polls. However, Biden's own remarks about the tricky issue of race are raising their own difficult questions, as Maupin explains.
The streets are full of activists marching against police brutality, racism, and the mistreatment of African Americans. And Donald Trump is becoming a target for some of that anger due to his harsh rhetoric against protesters.
Let's stop thinking that our voice don't matter and vote.
I think this president has stoked racism.
The president is a racist. As a matter of fact, I've known that the president is a dangerous human being, a would-be dictator.
Donald Trump is being a racist. That is what he's doing right here.
Elections are approaching in November, and Trump's Democratic challenger, Joe Biden, who was vice president to America's first African-American president, is taking quite a different approach to the protesters.
I won't traffic in fear and division. I won't fan the flames of hate. I'll seek to heal the racial wounds that have long plagued our country, not use them for political gain.
But how much of an alternative is Biden, really?
Instead of standing there and teaching a cop when there's an unarmed person coming at him with a knife or something to shoot him in the leg instead of in the heart, is a very different thing.
So it's a question of where the police shoot people, not if they shoot them at all? Furthermore, Joe Biden is certainly reaching out to George Floyd's family, expressing sympathy, but people will recall his own series of racial gaffes.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black, we got to recognize that kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
He's also been called out by police for making statements hinting that all officers might be racist.
If you were my daughter, you'd be a Caucasian girl and you wouldn't be pulled over.
Here's a quote that certainly does not go over well.
And it's about the attitude of the country. Do we want our kids, do we really think this is as good as we can be as a nation? I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people. But that's not who we are.
That sounds like a lot of no-good Americans out there. Not the best choice of rhetoric. The whiteness of Joe Biden's inner circle has been widely criticized, despite the fact that he took the lead in the primaries mainly due to African-American supporters. Joe Biden will be the only serious contender challenging Donald Trump in the November elections. Democrats have got to be asking themselves, is a guy like Joe Biden really the best hope for unseating the Donald? Democratic strategists are scrambling to make it happen, but it might be harder than they think. Maupin, RT, New York.
Human rights activist Jami Baraka believes even if Biden does win in November, it won't bring about major change to the lives of black people in the US.
There needs to be a very close scrutiny of Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a checkered history when it comes to race relations. As many people know, Joe Biden was the primary author of the 1994 crime bill that resulted in significant repression of African Americans in the United States of America. So the election of a Joe Biden is not going to have any significant impact on African Americans. The Obama administration, for 8 years, that administration did not see fit to engage in any kind of prosecution of killer cops, even though that was happening across the country. So Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, all of these individuals who represent concentrated power in the U.S. Are representing the same interests. The only ones who thought that the U.S. had a mask of commitment to democracy and human rights were people who were fundamentally naive. No U.S. official can ever stand before the international community and pretend to be a defender of human rights. They have been exposed forever, and that is a good thing.